Hi, everybody. Mr. Gowerluck here from Franklin Elementary, and I'd like to read to you what probably is becoming one of my class's favorite stories. It's called The Modern Day Cinderella, and they had asked me to record this so that you could enjoy the story over and over again for many years to come. Oh, joyous reading by me in November of 2020. What can you get, or what can you do to get the information that you need? And that's something that you'll be able to discover as you listen to this amazing story, A Modern Cinderella. Once upon a time, the time being the other night, the prince was as joyous as a gamer with the new highest score. He had just danced with an amazing young woman at the royal palace. It was during the taping of his weekly TV show, Dancing with the Prince. He had only agreed to do the show to help his mother, the queen, raise money for charity. But when the prince twirled this lovely dancer in the presence of the audience and judges, he felt as if he were floating on a cloud. However, circumstances changed as soon as the music stopped at midnight. As the applause began, the young woman's cell phone rang. You know how cell phones rang, just at midnight. As the applause began, her cell phone rang and she rushed from the palace. All she left behind was a purple sneaker. The prince fell into a dungeon of despair. "I must find her again," he cried. "And I have to find her in time for tomorrow night's final show." Well, how should he search? He clutched that purple sneaker in his hand. Does this shoe fit your foot? Does it smell like it could fit your foot? Seeing the prince's tears, the queen advised, "He who consults the right sources will surely succeed." The prince's mind raced like a galloping horse on his favorite game, Horse Chaser. After much consideration, he made a plan. First, he interviewed everyone who had attended the show, but no one could help. Next, the prince searched the internet. He entered the phrase, "great dancer with purple shoe," but he found no one. Kind of a weird search. Then the prince put up posters of the purple sneaker all over the kingdom's social network. You know, social media. They can't, of course, tell you what it is. Yet no one recognized the shoe or knew its owner. The prince held the purple sneaker in one hand and his computer compass in the other. What's a computer compass? "I will continue my quest," he cried, "even if I must personally travel the entire kingdom." With that, the prince powered up his royal electric skateboard and set out. At the first house, a woman came out to greet the prince. He held out the sneaker and announced, "This shoe will tell me if you are my destiny." By the way, I wouldn't recommend using that line. The excited woman struggled to jam her very large foot into the shoe. I don't know, maybe that's probably not the right one. The sneaker was much too small. At the next house, another woman eagerly tried on the sneaker. This story is making me cough. The shoe flopped and fell off. And no, that's not a COVID cough. At every home the prince visited, the purple sneaker seemed as big as a boat or as small as a seed. Every foot failed to meet expectations. It's kind of a creepy story. As the day wore on, the prince grew sadder. His discouraged heart was a cell phone in need of recharging. Finally, there was only one house left to visit. Oh, gee, I wonder what's going to happen at the one house. When the prince arrived, three sisters stood in front, offering their feet. They'd been following the news feed. The shoe fit none of them. "Does anybody else live here?" a weary prince asked the sisters. From inside the house came a chime. The sisters' eyes became narrow slits. It means they're angry. A young woman stepped outside and handed a phone to the oldest sister. The prince quickly held out his sneaker and requested, "Please try this on." She did, and her foot fit perfectly. Let me try that again. She did, and it fit her foot perfectly. "You're my missing dancer," the prince cried. "Will you be my dance partner forever?" The young woman smiled and replied, "No, never, duh. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, but not right now. I'll dance tomorrow, but I have a lot of plans. First, I want to travel." I think she wants to go to like Iowa or something. The prince begged, "Please say yes. After all, this is a fairy tale where anything can happen." "Sorry, Prince," the woman said. "You're just going to have to wait." "Well, that's cool," the prince sighed. "But at least reveal your name." "It's Cinderella," the woman replied. She scribbled on a piece of paper. "Here's my number. Let's stay in touch." By the way, nobody scribbles on paper anymore, do they? TTYLP. Tootie tootie, you lose, person. The prince looked puzzled and was unsure of how to reply. "It means talk to you later, Prince," Cinderella explained. TTYLC, the prince replied as he waved to Cinderella and rode away. And they texted happily ever after. This is horrible. So there's a connection question I'm supposed to ask you, but I don't think you even care. Talk about how the prince got the information he needed. He basically went up and threatened to break into people's houses, didn't he? What things did he do? Well, he went around and made signs and asked people awkward questions about feet. I would recommend you don't do that. I think that that's something you should probably just, if a purple shoe is left behind, bring it to Lost and Found and just say, whatever, it's somebody, come and get it if you want it. Otherwise, gross. So as that story goes, it again became, this is one of my class's favorite stories. I promised them that I would read this to them so that they could share the joy of this story with others. And that's what I do at Franklin. I mean, I'm about sharing joy, and I want to make sure that my students get nothing but the best.